Councilor Panzer.
Here.
Councilor Snyder. Councilor Ross.
Here.
Deputy Warden Ross.
Here.
And then in staff, we have Carly. Right. I want to say Roy Titus. Right. And I'm telling you, this is sad because I really know this kid before she was born, actually. Coralie Ross, the finance manager, director of finance, our CAO, at least I can get you right, fully, and our executive assistant, Taylor Robinson, and myself, Linda Gregory. I'd like us to pause to seek guidance, please. And Deputy Warden, would you do the mission statement, please?
Yes, to provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs while preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all.
Thank you.
Nope.
The next is the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions?
I would like to add the town of Digby letter.
And that will be under business items 4 or 5. Is there anything else anyone needed to add or delete? Hearing none, then could I have an approval of the amended agenda, please?
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Is there any disclosure of a conflict of interest in any of the issues on the agenda tonight? Okay. We have a presentation, and our presenter is not here as yet, but when they arrive, we will allow them to do their presentation. The next is the minutes of September 23rd, 2025. Was there any errors or omissions anyone saw?
I'll move the approval of the minutes of September 23rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. CAO report. Meeting reminders. September the 4th, there is no meeting because we're all at the NSFM. From the 4th to the 7th, we're at the NSFM conference. There's no meeting on Remembrance Day, but please remember to make sure you attend your various celebrations. November the 18th at 5, there is Committee of the Whole. November the 25th is Council and then the Audit Committee. November 26th, there's the Joint Council meeting. December the 2nd at 5 is Nova Scotia Public Works. At 6 is Bylaw and Policy, and on December the 9th, there's Committee of the Whole. On November the 18th, I will have to call in because I have it in Halifax. There's no way I can get back in time.
And on December 2nd, those of you that stayed up last night will have to pull another all-nighter. December 2nd, it's going to be a lengthy night, and we will provide supper that night.
Okay. Can we stay all night?
You might have to.
All right. That sounds like fun. On the action items, does anyone have any questions?
Airport paving, will that get done before this fall, or will we do it in the spring?
Nope, it'll get done this fall.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Lift station and stuff, it's all stuff getting done before winter, or
The lift station stuff is as needed.
as is
So I know it looks like nobody's been spent so far, but just things haven't come up. But things are in the works. Like the Weymouth Library upgrades, our office upgrades. Like I said, the pavement at the airport, the dark work. It's all in the work, and we're just early on.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there any action items on previous meetings? Anyone wants to ask the CAO? Hearing none. Any questions on the capital projects? The financial report of September 2025 that was sent to you.
I'll make a motion to approve the reports.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the Citizen Appointment Policy LEG 4000-04.
I move the council adopt citizen appointment policy as presented.
Seconder?
Second.
Any questions, concerns? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. I do want to say, I may not have mentioned it's the bylaw policy recommendations that was already discussed, but if anyone still has questions, we are certainly welcome to do that. The next is the community.
Madam, is there the policy where it's 2-year appointments? Is that in the MGA? Can it be changed or like you don't?
That is what we have done. It's
Okay.
2 years. Then you can do another 2 years.
Yeah.
No, that's our policy. So
Oh,
we're choosing.
You know, it's so hard to get representatives that maybe extended to 3 years.
What we do right now is we do 2 2-year terms, so they
That's
do
just
have
4.
4 years.
Yeah.
They have to reapply for the second 2 year, and we also included a clause that even in that case, based on the work they're doing or the fact that we can't get any other applicants, we can extend it. We have for PAC.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, the community grants policy FIN 2500-06.
I move the council adopt community grants policy as presented.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next was the Electric City crosswalk request.
I'll move that council send a response letter to the Electric City La Nouvelle France Society concerning the crosswalk request.
Is there a seconder?
Second it.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion, questions, comments? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the municipal clothing policy.
I move the council agree that every member of staff and council receive 1 municipal shirt per year.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Any discussion, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is a letter of support for the Digby Area Housing Coalition.
I move the council provide a letter of support for the Digby and Area Housing Coalition.
Is there a seconder? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carries. The next is from the Committee of the Whole recommendations. The Intermunicipal Emergency Services Agreement.
I move the council agree to sign the Intermunicipal Emergency Services Agreement.
And is there a seconder?
Second.
I just want to say I think this is a great step that we're taking forward, that it would be the town of Digby, the municipality of Digby, and the municipality of Clare coming together as a complete county, and I think that's a great step forward.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. The next under business items is the water voucher program.
Okay, so
I want to do Peter Piper there.
as most of you know, we can submit a request for assistance to the province because of the drought conditions and ask them to assist us with the purchase of bottled water. Claire just introduced their program last week, and you may have seen it online on their Facebook advertised. So I met with the CIO of Claire to discuss the program before they went public with it. He provided me with a lot of really good information. We would have residents fill out a form with their information, and then they would be eligible for 1 coupon per day per person. and each coupon would entitle them to 4 liters of water from a local store. There's a maximum of 4 coupons per household per day. The coupons can be picked up 2 weeks in advance. The coupons would have an expiry date. So, for instance, Claire is using November 30th, and we would have ours expire probably in about a month after we go active as a trial, just to see how the program works. That's how Claire's treating it as well, too, because we don't know if this will be an annual thing that the province does, but obviously these drought conditions aren't going away. So it gives us a chance to see how the program works. We would reach out to the stores in the area to see which ones want to participate. I know that the 2 stores in Weymouth said yes to Claire, so they're accepting it, so I'm sure they would accept our vouchers as well. The province provides us with a spreadsheet so we can track the coupons and get reimbursed for the cost of the water. I will say this program will take a lot of time and will involve numerous staff between contacting stores, drafting and tracking coupons, having forms filled out, distributing the coupons, tracking them, and then getting reimbursed by the province. I also believe if we do go forward with this program, we should have a 2-hour period, 1 evening each week available for people to collect coupons. And if you go forward with that, that would obviously require staff overtime. So I would have to approve overtime for 1 or 2 staff, maybe 2 hours per week. Because in the Claire social media post, I did see a lot of people asking about that. They're obviously tied up during working hours. So maybe we offered 1 evening, like 5 to 7 or something to that effect. So that's essentially it. Unless you have questions, I have a motion here that I'd be looking for, and the program can be implemented fairly quickly if we get approved.
I have a question about this. So we have the resident has access to 1 voucher per day. Is correct?
Per person. Yeah.
Per person. Yeah. So let's say you live in Westport and you need water. You have to drive every day.
No, you can pick them up 2 weeks in advance. So we'd give out more than just the 1 day. We track
vouchers, right?
the
But
vouchers.
can I exchange the vouchers against water for a 2-week supply, or I have to come there every day?
I believe the answer to your question is that you can't, that that the stores would have limits, but I don't know. It is possible that they would allow that, but I don't know if there's inventory issues with that or not. I don't know, but I can check on whether or not they're allowing that.
The program is interesting if you're at a fair distance from the supermarket, but I can see people really. I can see the score from residents that have to drive far to reach the water, right? So I think if we can do something about this, maybe there's a special voucher for long distance residents or something like that. Just an improvement suggestion there.
George?
Will there be any outlets like on the islands or Bear River, any of those stores participate?
So we would approach. I mean, we can approach any store that sells bottled water currently. So you can be a small convenience store, or you can be the superstore. So Claire had a large uptake. So we wouldn't want to, like to Peter's point, we don't want to make people travel if they don't need to. So if there was a store available that's smaller, Bear River, the islands.
Has a store in Little River.
Yeah, there's one in Weymouth.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward.
There's a store in Bear River, and there's a store in Westport, right?
There's a store in Westport and in Tiverton.
Oh, there is one in
Yeah,
Tiverton?
so if they can use that small,
They just got to
those
keep
small
track of
stores,
the
and in
coupons
Central
and be
Coast,
reimbursed. So it's quite simple.
yeah,
So as long as there's support for it, then you
yeah.
should.
If they have a supply too, right? They would
That's
have.
the thing, they have to agree. Maybe they won't want to.
Yeah,
But
they may
Claire,
not.
I don't think Claire at any store refuse.
Okay.
Obviously, it's sell more water. So.
And they can get
They buy more.
they can get coupons for up to 2 weeks at a time.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So actually, if you lived in Weymouth, it wouldn't be that hard
Yeah.
to get 2 or 3. They probably let you have 2 or 3. You never know.
In the Weymouth stores, I'm assuming they would say yes, but they would have to obviously track them separately between us and Claire.
Oh yeah, definitely not who's Digby and who's Claire.
Yeah.
So is there criteria that they will have to meet to get the coupons, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's hard to, yes, so they fill out a form and they talk about what kind of well they have. Is it currently dry? Is it running dry? There's a lot of questions, so we can track all that data, but we're not going out and testing wells. So, I mean, it is a bit of an honor system.
Go ahead.
Municipality of Argyle gets constituents to call in. I'm not sure how they're doing that, but it might be worth.
What do you mean by calling?
They're calling the municipality first, and it may eliminate some process. And if you get a bunch of people here trying to fill out forms and this and that,
Well,
and that could be why they're doing it. It might be worth a call just to find out, because that, if we implement this, and then all of a sudden you get 50 people here sitting in the office trying to fill out this spreadsheet, the phone system might work a little bit.
Well, they would have an option as long as we're available. They can always call, whether it's to ask questions or fill out the form, and we would post the form on our website and have it available online for people to.
I talked to them a little bit about water stuff. I talked to Yarmouth and I talked to Argyle, but you can only fit so much information when they give it to you. So I remember that part.
Anything we can do to make it more efficient.
Well, this is it, right? It might be worth a phone call to find out what it's called. But I'll make a motion to enter the water voucher program.
Do you have the,
Yep, so I'll give you the motion. So it would be that the municipality of the District of Digby apply to the Nova Scotia Department of Emergency Management for assistance to implement a water voucher program to provide bottled water to residents during a declared water shortage.
I'll make that motion.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further conversation, question? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The grid application accessibility.
So this one's really straightforward. So as you saw in our capital budget, we had budgeted money for some accessibility upgrades to this building. So that included the kitchen, which we need to make accessible, so where the sink and all the counters are. So we are about to go to tender, but there is a under the growth and renewal infrastructure development program, there's accessibility qualifies. So there's an opportunity to get funding. So we were going to go forward anyway. But if you can get money from the government for accessibility, why not? So we just need a motion tonight that we make an application under the grid program for accessibility upgrades to the kitchen at municipal office.
I'll make a motion to make a grant to the grid application to make the kitchen accessible.
Okay, and you're seconding it? Okay. Any questions, concerns, opportunities? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the property tax rebate for non-profit housing co-op.
So you guys would have seen the letter. So this is the Barton School that's being turned into some housing units. So the short story is we did look into this request. So we don't have the authority to offer a tax exemption unless they're providing a service that might otherwise be our responsibility. So housing is not one of our responsibilities. If council decided that housing is something we want to be responsible for, and we allow tax exemptions in this case, we could be opening a pretty big can of worms, and the province could expect us to take on a larger role when it comes to housing. But that's why they reference Halifax. So Halifax is obviously comfortable doing that. I would recommend that we do not do that. I will say we do have the option under the MGA to assess it as residential rather than commercial, which we are currently already doing, which is providing a reduction in that rate. So really, there's nothing we can do here other than unless we really wanted to get into the housing.
We're getting 50 cents off already.
If they weren't being charged taxes, I would think that there would be a big uproar from the rest of the people that do have to pay taxes.
And we did provide the property.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
So, in other words, what I'm hearing is that at this time it's no.
So I would say I would want a motion just to send a
Okay, so
response letter.
we need a motion.
I'll make the motion
to give them their funding request, and we'll explain it in the letter why.
Yeah. I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the Digby area tutoring pilot funding request. First of all, I thought it was an excellent letter. Second of all, for less than $500, we can help students. And to me, I've already asked, this would not set a precedent or anything. But I can tell you, I go in and I help when I teach first aid and witness to grades 10, 11, and 12. Last year alone, I had grade 12, 11 students who could not read the test and do it. It had to be done orally. I have grade 10, 11, and 12, and I can't answer with the younger grade now. I can answer with this, that could not fill out a form and write or print. I mean, their names, their addresses, all that type of thing. There had to be a teacher there helping them, or I had to come over and help. And I don't mind that, but you don't expect it from kids in high school today that can't read and write. That's my own personal opinion. I mean, there was kids that could. I mean, I don't mean it was everybody, but it was scary. And I can tell you, I think this is worth every penny of it to help, even if it helps one student. But I think it can help many. George, did you want to?
You know, when it comes to school and stuff, a lot of the kids just don't have the basics, whether it's math or English or whatever. Any little bit that we could do, that's to
Yeah,
help.
I mean,
like
you-
you said, if it helped one or two kids,
As a
that's big-
teacher, I know
that's a
you
big
understand.
help.
I would like to. I have no problem with it. I think it's well put together. I would like to see the results of the marks after. They don't need to use names,
Yeah,
but
we did not.
to see how the program is working, to make sure students are going and yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now that I've talked to different parents who can't afford a tutor, and their kids are failing, and they've said to me, and I can't help them. Like they may not have the knowledge, they may not have the ability, or they may not have the time. All of those things contribute. And I know with myself, when Bill was little, he had a tutor for his reading because I was helping him because he was doing really poor in it. And he one day was crying and says, "You really hate me, don't you, Mommy?" Because I was getting so frustrated because that isn't my forte. I can tell you, I can't teach a kid to read. Got a tutor, and it was wonderful. I was lucky. We could do that.
Yeah.
But what if he hadn't today? He's an excellent reader. He has no problem with that type of thing. But in grade 1 and 2 and 3, and it's surprising. And you're right, George. If he hadn't got those basics, he wouldn't be where he is today.
Being able to read, you don't realize the obstacles it creates if you can't read. It's just
Or the doors it closes if you
Mhm.
can't.
That's right.
you can't read or fill out an application or follow, read the instructions for something. Like
Yeah, you can't get a job. Or if you get a job, it's not a very great job because you can't read what's told you to do.
Yeah.
So if anyone want to make any further comments?
I'll make the motion to.
Oh,
I just
Pete.
like to reiterate what you said. Like I think the leadership program is excellent. Most of the time people who are falling behind, it's because something way back there, some basic fundamental understanding of the subject is missing. And in the class system, you can't really go back there and so if you're failing in calculus, you can't really go back and review your algebra, your number theory, So it's really important to have that tutor doing this. However, I think what Matt said is really important, right? We have to measure the results. And it's not just a matter of seeing if it's working or not, but it's piloting it to make sure it's becoming more effective over time.
I think the results are nice too, is because then if there's a bigger problem, I like that they're taking the initiative to do this and teach the children and the students are helping. But if the results aren't there, then we have a deeper problem. Then we have to look into the education system because we all know, or I know from experience with kids, they don't get that extra help at the end of the day. They've been turned down for many, many years in some cases. I'm not saying all, but it's good to have the results at the end. But I think this should work, and it would be great to have and continue it. So.
it's hard to believe there would be some results, even if they're not, really visible. Once you get one-on-one instruction,
Oh, I would hope.
things are a lot better than 1-on-20 or 1-on-25.
Yeah.
It's got to do some help.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they did indicate in the letter that they would include a reporting period on that if we wanted it, and I think anytime we issue funds out, we should be looking for a report back on what it's being used for and the results, if it's that type of a program. So yes, I agree, Matt, that we should be looking for a report back.
Okay. So can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion that we fund the Digby area tutoring pilot
Or
Second.
488.
for $488. Sorry.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. I can tell you myself, when I read that letter, I thought she put something in that.
A lot
It
of work there.
wasn't just flung out. It was very well done.
Yeah.
And I want to give kudos because whoever that is a very caring, conscientious person. Okay, the next is the new item, the town of Digby. They are requesting that they'd like to keep their building open another.
Extend the closing of the public shower facility.
And what do people think of that? Or is there any comments? I know this is very short notice.
Any idea how often it's used?
No, I don't know of anybody who uses it. It could be one person, it could be a million people, but
I think this is their.
I've never heard of any municipality. I've heard of the tourists using it. I've heard of, the people that come in, on their boats and stuff. But I can't tell you municipality people use it. I'm assuming somebody uses it, but
I think it's their initiative, and that's great. It's just we'll do our water initiative. Please go.
so I believe the answer is, do we send
So I'd be
a
looking
motion?
for a motion to send a response letter.
Okay. So can I have a motion to send a response letter?
I'll make a motion to send a response letter back to the town of Digby.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is correspondence. We had a letter from Jane Simpson, CUPW National President. And, they're talking about the cuts that are going to be happening in the Postal Service. I know that the government wants to take their pensions. And I know that they wanted to expand their services and make it better. And since then, as you read in the letter, they want to make cuts, morals, less and less and less.
I would just say that we typically don't do resolutions like this, and we did a few months ago. We did send a letter on their behalf to Canada Post, so we did offer some support there. But.
No, I know we don't do responses. I'm just saying that.
Myself, I'm not in a position to judge Canada Post. Sometimes the service is not very good, and sometimes it may be better. They're losing billions of dollars a year. Something has to be done somewhere.
But
Correct it. I have no idea where to go.
Well, to me, when you start talking about taking away a person's pension, there's a problem.
Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah, that's what they want to do.
Well, that's not what they're saying there. What
They're not saying that, but we were already told that we were in.
If you look at the whereas in the government mandate review, they're about 10 years behind. Canada Post now wants to look at it. They want to bring things back to normal. However, unfortunately, it's not the people down on the ground. It's not the people in our communities with Canada Post.
No.
It's not the managers from here. I have the problem. The problem is there. It's not there. It's the higher up. It's those managers.
Oh, yeah.
And today, CTV did a report that they let a bunch of them go, which they should, because that right there tells you they're behind 10 years. And at $411 million per quarter, they're losing in money. They should have been way ahead of this 10 years ago. EV units. We've been putting EV units in a municipality for the last 10 years. Why didn't they think of it then? There's a lot of things there that makes me seem like upper level never really had a vision. There's just a lot of salaries. And obviously they cut those today. And the unions are going back to talk. So there's nothing really to...
Oh, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make it that I personally, we don't do resolutions, but if
No.
we did, I would be for this.
Yeah.
I'm very supportive, but it was just more to discuss because it's under correspondence.
Yeah.
The next was the response from Minister Ritchie re the library funding. Anyone have any comments on that?
No.
Okay.
Cut their funding, which
Nice
was
to see
good.
the refunding.
Yeah, that's a help.
They still haven't got a new funding formula, though. That's been
We're working on it.
a
We
year
did send a
or
letter,
yeah,
so.
they're working on
I mean, it's only been like 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
What do you want,
it.
George? You know,
They're
you gotta
busy.
take it
They're
this
very
morning.
busy. They got things to do.
Our Bear River Night Market sent a thank you. The AMANS professional service fee.
So you guys would have read it. It's pretty straightforward, but basically it's not extra money. It's just going to be a separate bill. It used to come through NSFM. NSFM doesn't want to do that anymore, so now it'll be separate. And they have no idea how it will affect the NSFM fee. Obviously, that's up to NSFM.
Okay. And the next was a letter from Minister McDonald to the mayors, wardens, and councillors. And is there any questions or concerns on any of those subjects? Then we will go to councillor district activity reports. Would you like to start, Peter?
Yeah, sure. All right. So much of my time this month was spent on the tax budget meeting discussions, lots of back and forth with the people who are organizing this, the communities that are most interested in that. The date was pushed to November 3rd, so next week we'll be sitting down with a few residents there to have a conversation. Thanks a lot, Taylor, for putting together that, and Corley and everyone else who put the input there to get that presentation. So I'll probably pull in that day and run through them. I think there are a few elements in that deck that probably we could make clearer, but I'll test with them and see how it goes. Right? It's not the official release yet. So yeah, that's a lot of my time went into that, and discussed some questions about PVSC assessments as well. Lots of anxiety about this. So and that's something that I've been hearing from since the beginning of time I started here. People are afraid that their assessments will skyrocket overnight, and and how they're going to deal with the taxes and all that. So it's I don't know. It's something that I'm listening to, and maybe at some point we'll have to make a call on something. But for now, I think it's more that anxiety is in the air there. On that, attended to Freeport breakfast, the Freeport Fire Department breakfast. Met some people there. It's good just doing the basic community relationships, listening to people, seeing who's there, staying on top of what's going on. Had my healthcare in the islands meeting monthly. That meeting we're changing now to bi-monthly because there's not a lot happening there, so we decided to save people time and save the accumulated feedback of 2 months for each meeting, which is probably make for more productive meetings there. What else? Yeah, so there was so Tyler shared so the committee report shared a concern about the intersection of the 217 with Clover's Lane there. Tyler said we're putting this into the public works discussion coming soon. So had some exchange with the committee there also to understand what's it about. Reached out to Tony to start working on it in advance of that meeting. There was a lot of discussion also about the residential well program. Helped a few residents, looking for water delivery. A list of water suppliers in the area that I could share with them. I think it's a good idea, something to have up your sleeve there. If it's something that you would be interested in, I can share what I got. So there were a few funding opportunities that came up that could apply to some of our local organizations in the district. So forwarded that to them, had a conversations on how they could go about them if they're interested. And finally, had a little foreign policy assignment there. Went to the lab school reopening event in the Indianapolis area, representing the council here.
Thank you for doing that for me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, Mr. George.
Yeah, we back late in September we had a meeting with Chris and Erwin Goddard about sidewalks in Weymouth, and Chris was going to be looking for funding, if there was any grants available. So then there was at the library meeting, we did get an $800,000 extra in funding, which was to be divided amongst all the library bridge funding to help carry them over to the next budget time. Brought a couple of people to Digby to get their provincial tax rebates. Why it didn't come in the mail or get deposited in their account, I don't know. I had to go to Service Nova Scotia. They picked up their checks there. Application for grants to home repairs. Got one of those for resident in Weymouth. And also had a skunk call. So dead skunk in the road.
Oh.
And it was kind of, for people walking, they said it was smelly and all that stuff. So, but could I do anything? I called highways and said, no, they didn't do anything with that or whatever.
You're supposed to?
Well, the lady said, no, it said if it was a big animal like a bear or something, they would come. But so I went down.
Yeah,
I was going
nice.
to scoop it up and deal with it. When I got there, it was gone. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe he got up and left.
It's plain dead.
That's what it.
Okay. I like the skunk the best.
Yeah, the skunk. I was looking forward to that.
Joan, please.
Hi. Well, I continue to attend all the council and committee meetings. Attended a session in Halifax with Nova Scotia Tourism as they were releasing their 5-year plan for their tourism activities, and then reported back to my committee data on that, as well as where we can join in on some of their activities as well. The real push for tourism over the next little bit is going to be with the idea of it's a 365 day of the year tourism. They're looking for sort of winter activities and that sort of thing in every area, and being able to extend out their accommodation nights and that throughout the year more. I continue to attend the coffee time, which is at the fire hall now. Residents are happy to see the clearing around the signs and the trails and that open again, so that's good. The handmade drainage channel that I had reported on earlier in back of Bear River and Lake Franklin. I was in touch with Environment and Climate Change on on that, and they confirmed that it's Crown land and that there has been no permits for diversion or culverts or anything requested, and they were going to go up and have a look at it as well. Fisheries and Oceans have jurisdiction and responsibility with regard to those lakes as well, and to any diversions that might affect the fishery. So they were doing some internal consulting and going to look into what type of diversion it was and whether or not it would have any impact as well. To date, I have not heard back from either of the groups in terms of their visits or whatever. Community Soup Kitchen started back up. We continue to provide one meal a month from Smiths Cove Church. Actually, currently they're doing about 35 community takeouts, 30 that come into the kitchen for meals, and every second week we do 25 meals out to the school on the First Nations Reserve. Continue to meet with museum board and community members as they're looking at bringing back the community potluck as part of their annual Christmas tree lighting, and that's going to happen on December 7th. And we are meeting and hoping to bring back an all-day event for the Good Times Day event in Smiths Cove. It started out back in '74, and at that time it was an annual all-day event. It's gotten smaller in part. Lobster Bash and everything else kind of started up at the same time. So this year we're looking at moving it to the second weekend in July instead of the first, so that there will be no conflict. And stay tuned for more details as we develop them. I attended the cadets flag raising ceremony in Digby, and this is the first program to start up in the area actually since Cornwallis closed down. So it's good to see something like that happening in the area again. I also attended the ordination service at the Digby Baptist Church for the Reverend Alex McMorrin. And interestingly enough, there were 3 young fellows that were in the same class. He was the second of the 3 to be ordained into a church in the area. One of them was ordained the week before, and the next one was being ordained, I think, the next day, and his ordination was going to be with the military, but they're all local between Yarmouth and here. I took part in the NSFM luncheon, learn on the harassment in the workplace policy, and attended the Digby Housing Committee public information session the other night, and it was geared mainly towards fundraising and educating the public. They had some diagrams of what the site will look like. And they're starting to get their fundraising program off the ground and hoping to bring in more people from the community in terms of fundraising. So, and then the next day I took part in the information session on the NSFM bylaw changes. And that's it.
Pretty busy. Deputy Warden.
All right, it's my last council meeting. I volunteered at the Wharf Rat Rally for the weekend. I met with Transportation Minister Fred Tilley and MLA Jill Balzer about road safety and conditions that some of our roads are in. I met with the MLA Jill Balzer with council to talk about concerns in our districts. I volunteered at the Legends of Hockey held at Digby Arena. And I've had dealings with Waste Check on various properties being used as dumping grounds. I had a meeting with Deputy Minister Paul Flesh and Mark Peachy on some Crown property issues. I've been in meetings with Digby Fish and Game, getting ready for another winter, looking after bills and campground. I toured the Multicultural Festival event down at the marina. There was live entertainment, food from various parts of the world, which I tried and liked. It's good. And there were lots of vendors. I attended the Brighton Fire Hall open house for Fire Safety Week. Attended the golf tournament fundraiser for AWET graduation students. Went to the Friends of Farrell fundraiser, and I spoke with Yarmouth and Argyll Municipality about the pros and cons of implementing grants for drilled wells. I was trying to get some information on that. And I've taken many calls on roads, garbage, and water. People want to know what the municipality plans to do about this drought and for future ones. So it's been a big concern.
Great, thank you. For me, I have started attending some dialogue meetings. I've had 3 meetings with our MLA over various concerns. A lot has been to do with the Crossway paving project. I volunteered at the NHLers. I attended the provincial volunteer ceremony. I've attended the Bear Fire Department breakfast. I spoke at the multicultural conference. I attended the police conference here at the Pines. I was on Zoom for the harassment in the workplace. I attended the Friends of Farrell's fundraiser. I met with Claudia Gender today, leader of the NDP, and we discussed many things. So again, there's a lot of concerns over water. I'm hearing concerns over the water in Weymouth. There's people that are sort of arguing because the trucks seem to want to take all the water. There's 2 spouts. Anyway, they're plugging it off. Concern for people. There has been a notice that has come out that Dr. Jumbo is leaving in February, and I'm getting a few calls on that, and I told them that that's under health. I know they're looking for more doctors, and I understand the concerns because they were really happy, and now they're going to be without a doctor again. The only thing I can say is thank goodness that we have Nancy Wally being our champion because if there's any way, and a new doctor has started again in September, I was told. So otherwise, between the calls and the concerns about roads, still concerns on Sissaboo because they don't feel it was completed and they're wondering when.
The paving company was right there on Hill Road, paved the whole section, and they could have scooted over there and did it, but they didn't.
And this one person told me that they heard the paving company that did Sissaboo has gone bankrupt or something, and I said, I don't know who did it, I don't know anything about that, but I said, the TIR does know the concerns.
Well, TIR told me that they're going to do it next summer. They're doing it in sections as the rim light comes out, and that's how they're going to finish Hill Road.
Okay.
That's what Tony told me.
For Sissaboo.
For Sissaboo.
Okay.
Because they did that at the beginning of the summer in May, and I got the same calls.
Okay.
There were 2 culverts that paved from here to Peter.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it. I mean, it must be billions of dollars. Government couldn't afford to do it.
Yeah.
And it was beyond me. They couldn't go to me to Peter
to
finish that pavement.
Yeah.
But they went up the road to Willis's and finished the piece there.
Yeah. I went down the road because I was asked if I would go down. Yeah. And I did. And I agree with what you're saying.
But they said they'll come back next year. So they're doing it all in little sections. But they did the same last week. They did from Danny Hates. And they went as far as just past the fishing game. It is rough there. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They can't get it to go to the crossroad. That'll be another year because there's a lot of the hills need to be done down at the bottom. Well, the water. That's for another year.
Okay.
Gates's Lane Bridge is open.
Really?
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, mama. That's nice. Yeah. I don't know if I should say that. So now, We will go back on our agenda. That we had a delegation of David Duffer Wilson, Bear River Board of Trade, would like to speak to us. So could I have a mover and a seconder, please?
Motion to let David Duffer Wilson do a presentation for the Bear River Board of Trade.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Do you want to push that button beside you?
Okay, and we'll move over a little bit. Thank you very much. Sorry?
There you go.
There's
Thank you very much. Thank you for the time. I'll take as little time as possible here. This is about the Bear River waterfront stabilization. And I'll give you a bit of a history of what got us to this point. Is the Bear River Board of Trade, which I am a director of and sit on the waterfront committee, applied to Annapolis County last year for funding for an engineering study to stabilize the shoreline on the Annapolis side of the river, build the property up a meter for rising sea levels and global warming, and to develop that park area as rural economic development. As I moved forward with the project, we got the funding for the engineering study. The engineering study came back at $5.2 million, which kind of shocked all of us, but at the same time, what do you expect for a project like that? So as I moved forward with that information, I went on to Build Nova Scotia. And Build Nova Scotia is the provincial wing that oversees waterfront projects, reports back to the province to make sure the numbers are correct and making sense. They have projects in North Sydney, Lunenburg, HRM, Yarmouth, all over the place. As I talked to that gentleman, he said, Duff, what about the Digby side? And to be quite honest, I hadn't considered the Digby side at all. So that leads us up to where I am today. If you don't mind, I'll pass out a little bit of information. I'm not sure if I have enough, but
okay, I'll tell you what, I'll share it with you.
okay. Sorry, I would have brought more, and I know there's more people. When I had that conversation with Blair at Build Nova Scotia, I said, well, wait a minute, we're kind of going to go forward on $5.2 million project. If the Digby side is a similar cost, say we're in the $10 million project. And his response was, you have to remember the people that you're going after for funding for this. All they want to know is what they're getting for their $10 million. So that kind of, it didn't say that we were going to get it. It just said that $10 million doesn't scare some of the entities that we're going to go after funding for. So on the left-hand side of that folder I passed out, if you look at the first page, the aerial view of Bear River, on the bottom, that's the Digby side. That's the Digby side. Of course, across from it is the Annapolis side. The next picture on the left-hand side of the folder is a general overview of what the project, what we have now in Bear River. And what we're finding in Bear River is tourism was exceptional this year in Bear River. Some of the comments were, what a unique place. We kind of like what you haven't done. And, I took offense to that. Yeah. And so I asked them to explain that. And they said, it's a very unique community to come and see. It looks lived in, but it needs to be swept up a little bit. So that's that's where we are today. If you look at some of the other pictures, it's close-up views of the shoreline, and some of the existing crib work is there. It's almost an advantage in the sense of, as I went forward on the Annapolis side to go and ask questions from fisheries and natural resources about permits, is he said, because it's an existing structure, it's a renovation or an upgrade. It's not a new construction. So we had that in our advantage. And then he was the one, fisheries was the one that said, if you could get an engineer to design and stamp something, that would help a lot, because the engineer has to deal a lot with the permits. So on the right-hand side of the folder is the first picture is soldier pile and lagging, it's called. And that's what Peter, the engineer from Eagle Beach, suggested for a portion of the Annapolis side. And I have a feeling that Peter, if we get far enough to do an engineering study, Peter will suggest this on the Digby side. For a few reasons, is it doesn't go outside of the existing footprint, and it's fairly well non-intrusive. But if you look at the last picture, that is what it looks like when it's done. It's dressed with wood on the outside, so it doesn't look like the Berlin Wall, type of thing. I took it upon myself to ask Peter, and I'll give you some background on Eagle Beach Contractors and Peter Wybrink, who is the engineer and owner of Eagle Beach. He was key in the big lift in Halifax when they redecked the McDonald Bridge. He was key in that. And he is the go-to guy for HRM, for waterfront development. So if you look at the last page, I took it upon myself, I hope you don't mind, but I took it upon myself and asked Peter if he would give us a quotation for an engineering study for the Digby side. And as you can see, it's $6,000 plus HST. To put that in perspective, the engineering study that Annapolis County got done in Margarettsville was $80,000. They were shocked when I got the quote for $6,000 for an engineering study. And what Peter will do for that $6,000 is he does a site visit, he surveys the property, produces a plan view and drawings, and he deals with most of the permit issues. Where if we run into a permit problem, we go to Peter and say, Peter, what do we do? And he'll say, well, in HRM we did this, or Lindbergh or Yarmouth or whatever. The other thing that Peter has agreed to do is to help us along with funding, not personally, but as we go forward, if we go forward, they're going to want to know, is somebody going to stamp this? Is this an approved construction sort of thing? So I'm open to questions if anybody has any questions on this.
Right, Deputy Moore?
These two pictures here, though.
Yeah.
The erosion is so close to the road. If you talk to transportation about that, I mean, that has to be addressed at some point.
Well, if you look at the aerial photograph, you can see those were just old piers that were originally spaced. That space was for boats to come in the 30s and 40s. So it's not particularly erosion. What I'm hoping that Peter will come back with a plan is that he'll do the soldier pile and lagging all the way down the shoreline and fill those gaps in.
Okay.
Yeah. But the downside on that, and I'll be completely truthful with you, is all of that property on that side is private property.
Yeah.
It's owned by individuals. Yeah. So if there was any development to the properties, it wouldn't be to the advantage of Bear River or the municipality as far as development. No, I know. I understand that. But if you look at the first pictures, we can't not do something.
We'd have to check with the MTA because I don't think we're allowed to do private property things.
You're not saying the work would be on the private property, you're saying it would be adjacent to it, right?
I'm saying it would be, the shoreline restoration would be on private property. Because I think those properties are low water deeds, if that's even a thing anymore, I'm not sure. Yeah.
I've heard low water deeds are gone, but I don't.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing. The response that I would have to the private property issue in Digby is all the property in Annapolis is private property as well. The only difference to that is we're developing it as a community area. When that property on the Annapolis side is developed, it'll be a park area, greenhouse, boat launch, docks, the whole 9 yards. I don't think that's going to be a possibility on Digby. I don't think there's going to be anything that you could develop. You know, I don't think there's any property that we could build a building on and put a community hall or, you know, add to the fire department or anything wonderful like that. And I know that's a bit of a detriment, but I'll leave it at this: is we can't let the shoreline continue to go. You know, it's in Bear River. I said jokingly a year ago, what Bear River needs is a catastrophe. We need a really high tide or a high wind or something like Weymouth got.
That was my going back to my original question. If it's erosion, I would think some of that would have to be transportation. They're not going to let that main road, River Road,
I don't.
deteriorate, because that's what's going to happen in some of those pictures to me. If it keeps going the way it goes.
Yeah. If that's an issue for transportation, they haven't expressed any interest in it.
Of course not.
No.
They'll wait till the road washes it.
But what I see happening and what I'm sort of getting the gist of now is if we have the engineering study, that allows us to take that information and the pricing and everything and go to the province through Build Nova Scotia and get there, kind of check that box off. And I've already talked to Christy Entremont about it. Then we would go to the feds and get their approval for it. And at that point, we're off to COA. We don't expect that the municipalities will be a large financial contributor to this project other than the engineering study.
So you're requesting us?
Yeah, I would say if all the answers or questions are answered, I would say that the Board of Trade or myself, whichever you're more comfortable with, can request funding for an engineering study based on the quote from Eagle Beach.
Mm-hmm. What it would have to be for us to actually look at it is that we need that letter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the
Board of Trade.
Board of Trade.
Yeah.
You're looking for the full amount, so the 6,000 plus HST?
Yes. Yes.
And there's a form to fill out. Is that the form they fill out, the grant form, or would it just be the letter? Okay. We just need the letter.
Okay. And that would be sent to the
either our
CAO?
CAO and myself.
Okay. All right.
Actually, it probably should come to Warden and Council.
Okay. Yeah. Should it be presented at the next meeting or just sent?
When you get the letter ready and you send it in or bring it in, then it will go on to our upcoming agendas.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, like I say, I didn't want to take a lot of your time. If there's any more questions about that,
I want to make a comment that whoever did those pictures did a great job.
I have to.
Because that's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, it is so. It saves a lot of trying to explain things. I would say at that point too, I took the pictures, but Dalla was very helpful, and I didn't know how to put this together, and I didn't want to make it too elaborate at the same time, but they were very helpful on that. You know, sort of.
Great.
So the other thing that I would say on leaving is I'm getting a real sense from mostly from the government people I've talked to is this is going to be part of a way bigger project for Bear River. Now they're talking about rural-urban renewal. What are you going to do on Main Street? You know, and I'm just kind of, you know, going, well, I didn't expect that. I expected that it would be the other way around. We'd have to fight and struggle. I mean, we don't have the money now, and I know that's not going to be an easy thing. The timeline on the funding is I expected that within 2 years, this would be shovel ready, and the province would be looking at an election by that time, and maybe even the feds. So hopefully we could use that for our advantage.
Great.
If I could just add, if you could have that letter to us by middle of November, that would be.
Yeah, I'll try and get it to you by the end of the week, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay. So now the next thing on the agenda was we go into committee, or in camera in other words, for a contractual and a personnel matter.
How much is the camera for contractual and personnel?
Second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried.